Some people walk through life like nothing can shake them. Chaos shows up. People talk trash. Plans collapse. Problems stack up, one after another. And still, nothing. They stay calm, steady, untouched, like the storm doesn't even see them. That raises a big question. What do they understand that other people don't? Most people are controlled by reactions. One small thing happens, and emotion takes over. Someone cuts them off on the road, and anger takes the wheel. One rude comment at work, and their whole day is ruined. A random stranger looks at them funny, and suddenly their mind fills with doubt. They don't choose how they feel. The world chooses for them. But imagine this for a moment. What if you didn't have to live like that? What if no person, no situation, no outside event had the power to shake you anymore? Most people are not trapped by the world. They're trapped by their reactions. You think life is attacking you, when really, life is just holding up a mirror. And whatever upsets you is showing something inside you haven't learned to control yet. Here's the real truth. Nothing can touch you unless it finds a weak spot inside first. When someone calls you stupid and it makes you angry, it's not the words that hurt. It's the small part of you that's afraid they might be right. When someone ignores you and it hurts, it's not the silence. It's the part of you still begging for approval. That's why two people can go through the same moment and respond in totally different ways. Because it was never about what happened in the first place. It's about what's going on inside you. Carl Jung called this shadow work, the process of making the unconscious conscious, bringing what's hidden into the light. Every time you get irritated, frustrated, or emotionally triggered, it's not random. It's a message coming from within. But most people don't want to hear it, so they run from it. They try to shut those feelings down. They pretend they're not there. They blame the world for how they feel. But the ones who truly wake up discover something life-changing. The outside world does not control you. It is reflecting you. And the moment this clicks, something powerful happens. You realize you don't need to control life. You only need to master yourself. That's how you take back control of your reality. But here's the hard part. Most people don't want to hear this. They'd rather point the finger at their boss, their ex, their situation, or just call it bad luck. That's easier than facing the truth that they might be the one handing their power away. Believing life is unfair feels safer than admitting you're the one letting things control you. But for the few who dare to look deeper, who stop blaming and start watching themselves, a whole new kind of freedom opens up. And here's the best part. The moment you stop reacting, you stop being controlled. You don't have to run from negative people and don't have to force situations to go your way. You become immune. This does not mean you become cold or empty. Rather, you become untouchable, calm on the inside, no matter what's happening outside. This is the difference between fake control and real freedom of letting go. Most people waste their whole lives trying to control things they were never meant to control. They want everyone to like them. They want life to follow a script. They want everything to feel safe and predictable. They want everything to bend their way. And the moment it doesn't, pain kicks in. Disrespect feels like an attack. Life not following the plan feels like betrayal. Everything becomes personal, like the universe is picking on them. But here's the truth most people miss. Nothing in this world is truly under your control, except one thing: your perception, how you see it. Carl Jung understood something most people never figure out. The world outside of you is not against you, and it is not for you either. It is not good or bad, kind or cruel. It simply exists. What makes it feel positive or negative is the lens you look through. Now think about this for a second. Two people can live through the same moment: a breakup, losing money, a painful failure. One person collapses, convinced their life is over. The other pauses, learns, and grows. They see it as a lesson, a doorway to something better. Same event, completely different outcome. The difference is how they see it. Carl Jung warned about this long ago. He said, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In a more simpler term, it means that if you don't become aware of what's happening inside your mind, it will quietly run your life, and you'll call it fate. And here's where it gets really interesting. The harder you try to control the outside world, the more control it ends up having over you. The second you need respect from someone, you hand them the steering wheel. The second you need life to go a certain way, you become trapped by the outcome. And the moment you expect life to be fair, disappointment is almost guaranteed. But when you drop that need, when you stop trying to force control, the weight lifts, the tension fades, and you step into freedom, free from chasing approval, free from being scared of failing, free from the constant pressure of trying to force life to match your expectations. Just pause and really think about that. The people who can't be shaken by life aren't the ones running everything. They're the ones running themselves. They stay steady when things fall apart. Chaos doesn't rattle them. Insults don't stick. And even when the future is unclear, they move forward without fear. They've learned a secret most people never do. Control is not real. And the moment you stop chasing it, real power shows up. Here's the strange part. When you no longer need life to go your way, it often does. When you stop worrying about what people think, confidence starts to grow on its own. When you stop running after success like your life depends on it, opportunities begin to find you. When you stop fighting life and start moving with it, things naturally start to line up. And this is not just some abstract philosophy. This is science, neuroscience. When you obsess over controlling something, people, outcomes, even your own thoughts, your mind creates tension, and tension creates resistance. That's why people who desperately want love often push it away. Why people who fear failure end up tripping themselves. Why those who cling hardest to control feel the weakest inside. So here's the real question. Are you living on reaction? Letting everything push your buttons? Or are you in charge of how you see things? Because the moment you realize nothing outside of you truly has power over you, life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a whole new game. The untouchable mind. A state where nothing shakes you. Nothing owns your emotions. Picture this. You're walking down the street, lost in your own thoughts, when suddenly someone yells an insult at you. They call you foolish, weak. They say you'll never become anything. Now stop for a moment. Freeze the scene. What happens inside you right then? For most people, the reaction is instant. They get defensive or hurt. Emotions take over before the mind even catches up. The heart races. Anger flares. The insult keeps replaying in their head, again and again, making it worse. But now, imagine a different response. Nothing happens. No surge of emotion. No inner explosion. Just a quiet awareness and calm. You tell yourself, it has nothing to do with me. That single thought changes everything. This is what the Stoics, Zen masters, and Carl Jung all understood at a deep level. Nothing outside you can shake you unless you allow it to. But let's go deeper. Why do most people get affected so easily? Because they mistake a fragile mask for who they really are. A fake version of the self, held together by other people's opinions, the need for approval, and attachment to how things should turn out. When that false self is threatened, everything feels personal. That's why the reaction feels so intense. It's not just a comment or an insult. It feels like an attack on who they think they are. Carl Jung called this the shadow self, the hidden side of the mind where fears, insecurities, and old wounds are pushed away and ignored. So when someone triggers you, they're not putting pain into you. They're exposing pain that was already hiding there. Let that sink in. If you were truly at peace with who you are, an insult wouldn't land at all. It would be like shouting at a mountain. The sound echoes, but the mountain never moves. So the real question is not what they said, it is why it moved you. When someone calls you a failure, does it sting because a part of you secretly believes it? When someone disrespects you, does anger rise because you're still chasing validation? When life doesn't go your way, do you fall apart because you're gripping one outcome too tightly? The problem was never the world out there. It's the picture you hold of yourself inside. Real power doesn't come from shutting people up, dodging criticism, or trying to erase every problem. It comes from building an unshakable mind. A mind that doesn't beg for approval. A mind that stays solid when challenges appear. A mind that knows this simple truth, that control starts and ends with how you see things. This is not just deep talk or philosophy. It's how the mind is trained and rewired. Science shows that reacting emotionally is something you learn. Your brain builds pathways that make those reactions faster and stronger. So the more you let the outside world push your emotional buttons, the more automatic and uncontrollable it feels. But here's the good part. You're not stuck like this. The brain can be retrained. With practices like awareness, changing how you interpret events, and calmly facing discomfort, your mind learns a new pattern. Over time, insults lose their power. Failure stops feeling like a label, and the unknown no longer feels frightening. And that's when you become untouchable, not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you are different. Here's the strange part about human nature. People think they're responding to the world out there, but most of the time, they're responding to what's happening inside them. Now, imagine this. Someone throws an insult at you. It feels sharp, like it cuts deep. But stop for a moment. Where is the pain really coming from? It's not in the sound of the words. The pain lives in the meaning you give them, in the old wounds they press on, in the quiet stories you've been carrying inside your mind for years without noticing. Carl Jung understood this clearly. He said that whatever upsets us in other people is actually pointing us back to something within ourselves, not to hurt us, but to help us see. That's the hard truth most people avoid. Nothing outside you controls you unless you hand it that control. Think of life like a mirror. If you looked into a mirror and saw a frown, you wouldn't yell at the mirror. You'd know it's only showing what you are doing. But when life reflects something back to us, through people, problems, or insults, we forget that. We get angry at the reflection, as if it's the mirror's fault. We blame. We point fingers. We beg the world to change, without noticing it's only showing us what's going on inside. So why do we give the outside world so much power? The answer is simple. Attachment. When your sense of who you are is glued to opinions, approval, and outcomes, you become dependent on them. And whatever you depend on controls you. But what if you stopped playing that game? What if, instead of reacting, you stepped back and simply watched? Detachment doesn't mean you become cold or empty. It means you stop being owned by your emotions. You realize something powerful. You are not the feeling. You are the one noticing the feeling. Think of a storm. Thunder crashes, lightning flashes, winds roar. Yet above it all, the sky stays calm, unmoved, untouched. You are the sky, not the storm. And that's why real power was never about controlling the world around you. It's about controlling how you see it. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you stop reacting, everything changes. People feel it. They notice it. They can't rattle you. They can't pull your strings. They can't disturb your peace. Because now, your energy belongs to you. So how do you enter this state, this untouchable presence? It starts with a huge shift in awareness. You were never reacting to the world itself. You were reacting to the story your mind told you about it. Once you see that, everything changes. Think about it. Two people can face the exact same moment and walk away feeling completely different things. Same event, same facts, totally different emotions. That's the proof. The power was never outside. It was always in how the mind interpreted what happened. When someone can easily pull your emotional strings, it's because there's a part of you that hasn't been claimed yet. That's the truth. Becoming unshakable doesn't mean pushing feelings away. It means seeing them clearly and taking back their power. So don't fight your triggers. Study them. Don't blame people for how you feel. Ask yourself, what part of me is being revealed right now? Picture a chessboard. Most people live like the pieces, moved around, reacting to every hit, stuck inside the game. But real strength comes when you stop being a piece and become the player. You see the board. You understand the moves. And even beyond that, imagine being the one watching the entire game from above, calm, aware, seeing everything before it unfolds. That's what emotional detachment really is. Not being numb, not shutting down, but mastery. You're not ignoring emotions. You understand them so deeply, they no longer own you. You stop being trapped by reactions and become the observer instead. And here's the surprising part. When you stop reacting, the world starts responding to you. People feel the shift. You're no longer chasing approval. Others start seeking it from you. Negativity stops sticking because there's nothing for it to grab onto. You stop being a puppet of the world and become the one holding the strings. The secret is awareness in the moment it happens. Every single moment gives you two options: react on autopilot or watch with intention. Next time someone tries to push your buttons, catch that tiny pause before you respond. Notice the feeling rise. Don't act on it. Just observe it, like a scientist watching an experiment unfold. Calm, curious, unattached. That pause is power. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, until reacting feels optional, not automatic. The instant you stop letting the world pull your strings, you take your power back. Control your reactions, and you control your reality. If this hit home, drop a comment below. What stood out to you the most? And if you're ready to keep awake in your mind, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next one.